I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Congressman Joe Neguse voiced his support for the Wildfire Response and Drought Resiliency Act on the House floor Friday. In a report issued by the NOAA's National Center for Environmental Information in mid-April, the agency noted that, quote, "The current multi-year drought across the West is the most extensive and intense drought in the 22-year history of the U.S. Drought Monitor." The Colorado lawmaker said that the U.S. is now, quote, "living with a new normal, as climate change results in a hotter, drier planet, where historic drought and record-setting wildfires are not merely a possibility, but an inevitability."
Thank the Chair. Madam Chair, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to insert extraneous material on H.R. 5118.
That request cannot be entertained in the Committee of the Whole.
All right, Madam Chair, I thank the Chair for her courtesy, and I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of H.R. 5118, the Wildfire Response and Drought Resiliency Act. This legislation represents another major effort to act on climate by responding to record-setting wildfires and drought that are impacting communities across our country. I represent Colorado's 2nd Congressional District, and it was barely over 6 months ago in December when the Marshall Fire burned through Boulder County and became the most destructive fire in Colorado history. The fire destroyed a 30-acre subdivision in a matter of hours. Nearly 200 homes burned to the ground and caused over $1 billion in damages. This comes on the heels of my district experiencing the first and second largest wildfires in the history of Colorado in Larimer and Grand counties in 2020, and as part of the western United States is currently experiencing the driest drought conditions over 1,000 years old. Fires have become the primary occupation of so many of our offices. Countless constituents come to us grieving the loss of their homes, but also seeking the resources that they deserve from the federal government. We have a duty to provide our constituents with the support that they need to rebuild and to recover. The reality is that we are living with a new normal as climate change results in a hotter, drier planet where historic drought and record-setting wildfires are not merely a possibility, but an inevitability. Wildfires no longer occur in a season, but throughout the entire year. I'm grateful to my colleagues, to Chairman Grijalva, Chairman Scott, Chairwoman Maloney, Chairwoman Johnson, Chairwoman DeFazio, Chairman Pallone, Chairman Nadler, Chairwoman Velasquez, Chairwoman Waters, Chairwoman Lofgren, and House leadership for helping bring this package to the floor. This is exactly the kind of response that our constituents desperately want to see from the Congress. H.R. 5118 provides a whole-of-government response to the droughts and the wildfires impacting American communities across the country, and it combines more than 50 standalone pieces of legislation originating from 9 different House committees, including Republican and Democratic bills. We began this important work last year, as my colleagues know, working with President Biden to pass the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which included historic investments to reduce wildfire risk, improve ecosystem resilience, and ensure reliable water supplies. The Wildfire Response and Drought Resiliency Act builds on those investments. It provides an increased starting wage for our brave and courageous federal wildland firefighters. It invests in water security and in drought resilience and advancing wildfire science. As climate change-induced drought means long-term reductions in rain and snow and necessary water supplies, this legislation invests in drought-proof water projects like water recycling, modern desalination, advancing water data management and technology, protecting and restoring ecosystems. The bill also advances projects to deliver reliable water across Indian country, including incorporating our bill, the Tribal Access to Clean Water Act. And it provides significant resources to prevent key Colorado River reservoirs from declining to critically low water levels, protecting the supplies of a river that 40 million Americans, 40 million, rely on. H.R. 5118 also includes several other important pieces of legislation introduced by many members in the body today. Provisions from Tim's Act, named after a heroic smoke jumper, Tim Hart, who tragically lost his life fighting a wildfire in New Mexico, would increase pay and benefits for federal wildland firefighters, and that provision is part of this bill. Finally, the bill includes provisions that would provide flexibility in federal FEMA cost shares to support our local communities and to protect watersheds impacted by wildfire. Madam Chair, This bill is a good bill, and it meets the moment for the American West. And for that reason, I will encourage my colleagues today to support it. I look forward to hearing from many of my colleagues who will speak on the bill. And with that, I would reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Colorado reserves. The gentleman